Today, Liss and I are going to have a little conversation about something that I see a lot on the internet, especially in the last 4 or 5 years since our whole world has changed in very interesting ways, that people seem to need a lot of information. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm saying it can turn into something that takes on an energy all its own.
Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational, and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liss. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. It's almost like a survival mechanism that we need all of this information in order to be okay. We need all of this information to feel safe. I think that's really the underlying energy or the frequency or the vibration that supports this incessant need for information. It's almost, well, not even almost, I guess one could say the cliche analysis paralysis in a way. In particular, where I'm coming from is from a health perspective. One of the roles that my work ends up taking place is information sharing. I share information about health, about products that can help your health, about truth that might not be openly shared. And I don't see anything wrong with needing and wanting information. What I do see is the energy around it has become extreme. And I think it's important to talk about, do you need so much information because you feel so unsafe, or because you feel so unsure, or because you need some kind of sense of security? And in a world where information is so incredibly available at just the click of a button or the press of a finger, when does information become too much?
Yeah, it's such a relevant topic these days, isn't it, honey? And I think with all the, misinformation and disinformation and what information can we trust and suppressed information and who are reliable sources of information, I think everybody's actually just a little bit scarred.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if we're not outright afraid, there's a little bit of a psychological wounding around the whole topic. And for me, it always comes down to anything in life, really, comes down to the same few basic simple things. And in this regard, the simple thing that I would diagnose as the problem is a lack of heart-mind coherence,
Mm. Mm.
where we're so disconnected from the intelligence in the heart
Yeah.
that we know we can trust, that speaks with a single voice. We become not only dependent on our intellect alone, but we become so brain-based. And what I mean by that is that the physical brain is literally only designed for one thing, and that is to problem solve. The physical brain really doesn't do anything else. Wisdom comes from the heart. creativity comes from the heart. Higher function of our intelligence and our discernment even is a function of hemispheres working together and heart-mind coherence. So when we become too singularly brain-based, the brain is designed to keep us alive, to be looking out for threats, and to solve potential problems in those two areas. And so it's proven we have a negative bias. That's why positive thinking is something you have to work on. Having a positive mindset is something you have to choose, because it's not our natural inclination. The brain's natural inclination is a confirmation bias in the negative, because we're safer that way.
Mhm.
So the more scarred we are or have been in all this slew of fog and information, the more we're going to depend solely on that. And so when is enough enough? It's a function of the ego. The ego is never satisfied. It cannot be satisfied. The minute the brain has solved one problem, it's going to think of all the things that are wrong with its solution so it can try and solve it better. And so in order to do that, more information, more information, more information. That would be my analysis of it.
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how beautifully you explained that. It's so true. I don't necessarily think I could have explained it that well, but I couldn't agree more. And I agree with you. I think it's part of our instinct to protect and to feel safe and secure. And the minute that things in our world changed, that triggered everybody's primal instincts, right? Our amygdala said, danger, warning, trouble. So
Yeah.
it really snowballed into consistently, repeatedly, over and over and over, needing information to keep us safe. And
And the thing is, Han, there were so many things, and there
yeah,
still are,
and there still
so
are.
many things that are outright lies. Outright, deliberate, on purpose lies. And unfortunately, many of them were told by those supposedly in authority.
Yes.
So the scarring
Yeah.
is actually very archetypal. It goes right to the heart of who and what can I trust.
Right. Right.
And so the part of us that is responding that way is a little bit PTSD
Yes.
without trying to over psychologize all of this. And so it's this constant search, like starvation. Fill the void, fill the void, fill the void. And do I know everything? And that's impossible. If we're not going to drop down into the heart and allow our hearts to lead us, actually depend on our discernment. And if people go back to our previous episode on intuition, how we can learn to trust that, how we can develop that, get rid of the static, then we learn to trust our own higher wisdom. And so we may not know everything. We may not have all the available information or even be right, because very often we're wrong, but we're still okay to trust in our own wisdom and to exercise that wisdom for ourselves in our own lives instead of needing to be told what to do externally by others.
Perfect segue into our next discussion. But it's so true when we hear all of these lies and when the lies start to become exposed and you realize people that you trusted are the ones responsible for the lies, it's another wound on top of already not feeling safe and secure and trust. You know, it's been very interesting to watch, hasn't it? Been very interesting to see not only when all of this started, all of the red flags were really obvious to me. And I know that not everybody saw that immediately, but for me, it was really obvious. Like all of these red flags just started popping up everywhere I looked. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. And as you know, now I'm starting to see more and more some of the truth comes out, and now nobody can trust the truth. We have become so jaded and so wounded and so mistrusting that even when truth comes out, we can't recognize it. We can't trust it. We certainly can't trust where the truth is coming from. So I really do feel like it is more important than ever before. I mean, it's always been important, right? But more important than ever before to really have a solid connection with yourself, with your higher self, with your heart brain. Because if you don't have that inner compass and that direct link to our inner wisdom, how will you ever navigate this crazy world? I mean, this life can be really beautiful, but it can be very complicated and confusing and complex. And nothing is more important than that inner compass and that inner relationship that you do trust and that you can rely on, and that isn't going to lie on you or lie to you. But if you haven't worked out all of the kinks and now you're thrust into this world that's a little chaotic, how do you possibly navigate all of the things?
Yeah. It can be like being in one of those halls of crazy mirrors
Yes,
at a fanfare
yes,
where you're not even seeing a true reflection of your own. And that's how I see the information minefield in pretty much any regard. It is that crazy hall of mirrors. And so many people speak about it in terms of pills. Going back to the Matrix references of the red pill and the blue pill, and how one is supposedly the lie and the other is the truth. I wish it were that simple,
yeah,
but it's not, because there are layers of deception and there are layers of truth. And so what I see happening a lot, which is very sad, especially within the more conspiratorial world, is that people are now actually blackpilling themselves. And what I mean by that is that they're just negative about everything,
yeah,
just as a given.
yeah,
Nothing can be true anymore. Nothing. There's no light, no hope, no goodness, no love. Everything is blackballed. And that's the problem with going down a rabbit hole. They don't end. You just keep digging and digging and digging and getting in deeper and deeper and deeper into more and more crazy and whack land until eventually can you even see the sun through the
right,
top of that hole anymore?
right,
And so many people think they're banging the drum of truth when in fact they're just lost in negativity.
mhm,
And so, yes, it's a minefield. But like everything else, we've got that internal, I don't know what you call that thing that finds the mine before you step on it, like a metal detector, but fancier. We've all got an inner one. We've got that.
yeah,
And it's about coming back to it and learning how to use it. We're not going to pretend it's not a minefield. It is a minefield, very much so. We've got to be careful where we put our feet. But can we trust in that apparatus?
right,
Because we do have it. So, yes, we might have to read the manual to learn how to use it again, but we do have it. And so,
yeah,
for me, a greater sense of trust and security lies in simply knowing that, actually embracing and embodying that. We do have a guidance system we can trust. And very often the key is switch this off. Switch it off. Drop your breath down into your heart and ask your heart. Because the heart is single, the heart has one answer. The heart doesn't function in polarity and duality like the brain does.
uh, well, that raises another question though. When people are just learning this, because I imagine there's going to be people watching this who aren't quite there yet. How do you know what your heart is saying? Because it is vastly different from the chatter of the brain. And it is vastly different from pretty much everything else that we do in life. It's in my opinion, it's very different. It's a very different conversation. And some, well, the two boys I live with think it's weak, and it's too sensitive. You can't lead through life from the heart and still be safe. And I sincerely don't know what to say to them, because that it's just not how I think. My thoughts go the opposite, is you cannot navigate this world simply using your brain. It'll not work well.
I think part of the issue is in how that whole idea is framed. So, in general, the belief system is that thoughts are a function of the brain and feels are a function of the heart.
Yeah,
And both of those are complete nonsense, absolute rubbish.
yeah,
There isn't an ounce of truth in either one of them. Thoughts are not a function of the brain at all. The brain is an antenna that connects to the greater mind, that receives mental concepts as resonant frequencies that can come to the brain or to the heart. Because emotions are just thoughts. They are not two separate things. Feelings are like ideas. We make them ours, we think they're personal. But a thought is a resonant frequency. If we connect to it from our brain, then we're going to look at it dualistically. We're going to do the pro and con game, the true or not. We're going to give it polarity. This is the ways in which it might be good. This is the ways in which it might be bad. And we play the balance game that the brain does. And in terms of some ideas, that's necessary. But the heart is singular and simple. Communication that comes from the heart is not mushy. It's not pink and soft and fluffy. It's clear. It's simple. It's certain. It is a yes or a no. It feels stable and it feels sure. And you are shown that one path. So is it weak? This is what's weak. Playing the seesaw. The heart says go. The heart says don't. The heart says yes, that's for you. The heart says don't trust that. It's clear, crystal. And to me, that's what it is to be led by the heart. And if we can do more of that while fostering a heart-mind coherence, then we are undoing the mind's inclination towards dualistic thinking and actually bringing a higher intellect that can expand that simple truth to a greater truth for us, in which we don't only know what to do, but exactly how, when, and why to do it. And there's no doubt.
yeah. The clarity is completely different. Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.